Welcome to Venture the World of Small Business and Big Ideas. We welcome Jason Ackerman to the program. About 10 years ago, the online entrepreneur took a stab at the multi-billion-dollar supermarket industry. And today, FreshDirect is a new force in how city dwellers buy their food.
Are you interested in a little high-class beef?
You might love Lucy, but you might not love the hassle of grocery shopping. What if you could cut it out altogether? That's what Jason Ackerman and Joseph Fidel set out to do in 1999 when they founded FreshDirect. It's an online grocer that builds itself as the new way to shop for food. You click on the item you want, add it to your cart, and pay. And it's not just raw materials. FreshDirect also makes pre-made home cooking, sweets, party platters, you name it.
Sure, everything, but eat it for you.
1/4 of its 10,000 items are customizable. Do you want steak? How thick? What kind of marinade? What about produce? Do you want to know how soft it is? Those stars will tell you. FreshDirect then loads your order onto its white trucks, rolls into the city, carries the order up all those stairs. By the time you get home, your food is waiting for you. It's a popular concept. In fact, 15% of Manhattan's 1.6 million residents have given it a try. But there are some concerns out there. Environmental issues have been raised about the company's carbon footprint. There has also been some press about the company's attempts at discouraging workers from unionizing. Still, the market for online groceries is growing, FreshDirect among them. The company says it posted a growth rate of 15% in the first quarter of this year. Continued growth like that may be putting more than just Lucy out of business.
What's the papers for our new location? Good afternoon.
Jason Ackerman, thanks for joining us. I love Lucy. I really do. So I want to start off talking a little bit about the history and how you started the company. Your father had a book factory. You spent your whole life working, making, I guess, swatches or books out of those fabric swatches, but you didn't want to do it. You wanted to go into finance. I think your uncle was in finance. Pete Ackerman, for people who know him, the right-hand man of the junk bond king, Michael Milken. So tell me a little bit about where you started to get the idea of starting your own company. And I know you were the VP in charge of kind of supermarket mergers at one point in your life.
That's right. I'd spent most of my career in the food business after graduating. And after about 10 years, we had started our own fund. And actually, the FreshDirect idea was born from an initial idea to open up fresh food retail stores in New York. As a New Yorker, you know that finding great quality at great prices is pretty slim pickings often. And so it was 99, and we looked at the internet, as most people did. And we looked and see if we can use the technology to really transform the customer experience from what the retail experience is today. And we really founded on two guiding principles. First was to rethink how we get product from the farm to a customer's table in a much more efficient way, which lends itself to deliver better quality products at better prices. And second, because we know so much about our customers, is to use that information to deliver a much more personalized, better experience.
Seeing your dad that had his own business and starting your own business after years of working in finance, working in a fund, but what did you take from your dad when you were starting to get into this on your own? You
know, it's funny, when you're young, at least I spent my life in the summers working in my father's factory. Not understanding why I was actually working in my father's factory, but I actually really loved it. Making things was really something fantastic. And as I got older, I had an uncle who was in the finance business. Said, "Gee, he's a much cooler kind of. He's doing well." And I figured, well, maybe that's better for me. And after 10 years, I found myself just really much more enjoying the business aspect than the finance aspect. And here I am, doing exactly what my father did 25, 30 years ago.
Never underestimate what your parents tell you, right?
That's right.
So the idea when you started FreshDirect was kind of to eliminate the middleman. You once said you wanted to do for food what Michael Dell did for the computer. Explain what that means.
Well, in fresh food, there's a lot of intermediaries and a lot of processing that goes on to get the food from the state and the farm to a customer. And what we do is, by taking orders in advance, rather than preparing everything for the customer to buy it, we kind of build a just-in-time made-to-order model. So you place an order on the internet, and then we make and prepare all the food, so you eliminate a lot of the waste and the rework, and it makes a much more efficient, cost-effective process.
Now, when you started coming up with this idea, you wanted to have a whole new model, and I was reading the typical model, 50% packaged goods, 50% fresh goods. You guys took that to 75% fresh goods. How did you think you could do this in New York?
Well, I think when you deliver great quality fresh food, people will buy it. And I think a lot of stores, particularly in New York, don't do that very well. And we've noticed that the consumer's behavior had changed a lot towards wanting fresh food, but it was very difficult to find. And we believe that if you, like a great restaurant, if you do a great job, people are going to talk about it.
Your co-founder is one of the co-founders of Fairway, which is a really well-known name here in New York City, also, again, for their fresh food. So how did the relationship work when you first started?
The initial idea was about opening stores, and I approached Joe, who was at Fairway, about opening or purchasing a store and building out a concept. And that led into a series of relationships where he came to work for Crown Capital. And from there, we set off to build a business. And again, while we were doing that, we kind of came through the idea of how to rethink all the problems that fresh food stores have in executing well. And we had this idea.
And we're going to talk more about that. Jason Ackerman, co-founder of FreshDirect. We're talking with him today. You're watching Venture. Stay with us. Welcome back to Venture. I'm Chris Valerio. Today I'm speaking with Jason Ackerman. He's a co-founder and current CFO of FreshDirect. And we were just talking about kind of when you started the company, what your role was within the company and how you kind of started building the process. So how did you start actually building the supply chain, building how you were going to do this warehouse? I mean, talk us through the very specifics.
When we initially started the business, we divided up the responsibilities. Joe, having worked at and built Fairway, was responsible for bringing in all of the supply. And I focus on how to actually take all this supply and get it within the warehouse and actually get it to the customer, which is no small feat.
Now, let's talk about geography, because it's so much of what this business is so dependent on the geography, the density of the population here in New York City, and also the fact that you have this warehouse in Long Island City. So how did you get that warehouse in Long Island City? Had you said that's where you were going to do it? And, you know, I mean, that location of the center is really critical, is it not?
It is. In fact, you know, we just basically knew that we needed to be right next to New York City. And we walked the streets of Long Island City in the area and found some for rent signs. And we weren't exactly sure what size building we needed because we weren't sure how big the business was going to be. And we landed up purchasing a building just 3 or 4 blocks outside of Manhattan. It turned out to be a great decision.
And have you been able to scale it as you've grown?
Yeah, we have. We have around 300,000 square feet of space, and we've been able to fulfill all of our orders from that.
And I know
place.
also you're one of the largest employers in the area, specifically for that. What's the cost to maintain a warehouse in this kind of area?
Well, we purchased the building, so we really don't have much of a rent cost. We did that a long time ago, so it's fairly low. So
let's talk a little more about the business model, because not only was it just about how you did it, we're going to talk about the truck deliveries soon, but also this idea of keeping kind of the SKU number down, because if you kept the number down, then you could make more volume for some of the specific items. Why did you make that decision?
Well, we were very much focused on fresh products first, and to be honest with you, we paid less attention to the grocery goods because we were so focused on delivering great quality products. And over time, we've learned that, you know, our customers do demand a bit more of a selection, so we continue to expand. In fact, we've added probably 3,000 products over the last 4 or 5 years, expanded our line, and we'll continue to do so.
How do you choose the items that you carry? How do you choose, you know, all those different things?
Well, we do a lot of listening to our customers, and we have a request form that our customers submit, and we pour through that, and we get a lot of requests, and usually that guides us.
Now, I read also that when you were starting this company, it took about 2 or 3 years for you guys to get the software just right. You used SAP AG software. Was this new software? Did you ask them to create it for you? I mean, how did this work out? And why did it take so long to actually, before you get those trucks on the street, just kind of toying with this?
Boy, it's been almost 9 years. I feel like we still haven't quite gotten it right. You never stop really tweaking. But, you know, we had a view of how to build it. SAP had never done anything like this before, nor was it usually used for a startup.
How did you choose them?
Well, we're a manufacturer, and they're really the only software product that could actually do the manufacturing as well as the distribution side, so we chose them. We did a lot of customization, and we had a team of 75 people for 3 years building the technology inside our facility. And then after we built it, we spent another 7 years tweaking and fixing it because, like I said, you never really know how to get it right.
So they continue to tweak that software.
Absolutely.
How much of cutting costs and shaving those costs, because everything I read about your company, it's all about shaving these little bitty costs off, and that's what really helps. But how much of the shaving those costs is dependent on the software?
Well, where we save the money is the process that we set up. And when you eliminate the whole retail store channel and you can bring things in direct into a single facility, you get such huge economies of both controlling your waste and controlling your labor that we just are so much more efficient than a store model.
And let's talk about just that warehouse specifically. One of the things that you guys do is like you mentioned, you stack it differently. You put the items that are used most up front. You talk to us a little bit about how you set that warehouse up and how that makes you guys make more money, more efficient?
Well, one of the things that we do is to process the orders in bulk fashion, so we can get 8 to 10,000 orders in a day, and so you're aligning everything so a worker's just working on a single product. So they're working over and over again, cutting the same piece of product. You get a huge amount of efficiency completely if you compare it to what a retailer has to do.
And we also mentioned in the package that you guys, obviously you create your own products. You have an executive chef there. And even, I was reading, even with the executive chef, Michael Stark, I believe, everything there is even increasingly automated using the software. He puts in the recipes, which is translated into what he needs. I mean, it's pretty innovative. Is that? Well,
we do, like anything else, you have to be able to scale with control. And so we've put thousands of our recipes inside the system. And so when the people in the facility go to make meals, we just take our production orders and bring it right down to the floor. They don't have to think about how to tweak the recipes for the size and batch sizes. It's very automated. How much of your revenues come from these packaging, these specialty orders versus actual fresh produce, fresh products? Well, about roughly plus or minus 15% of our sales is in strictly prepared meals that we make with inside of our kitchen, our bakery operations. When we talk just a little bit about kind of how many orders are we talking about that you guys get every day? Because I know in 2006 you had 2 million orders, 60 million items, 8 million boxes. What's that ratio now? We'll deliver north of 2 million orders, which is well over 10 million boxes that we'll deliver to people's homes, which all have to be individually packaged. And it's, like I said, you mentioned task. I Love Lucy. It's quite a feat to watch inside. Jason Ackerman, co-founder of FreshDirect, on Venture. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Venture. I'm Chris Valerio. We're today with one of the founders of FreshDirect. This is a service in the New York area that delivers groceries. You can order online. You get your groceries. We were talking about the business model. We've been talking about a lot of different things, but one of the ideas behind these fresh products and the new model was this idea of vertical integration. And why was this such a different idea, and why did you guys decide to use this? Well, it's a critical part of our strategy. And if you know a lot about the fresh food business, a lot of waste happens because you make stuff, people don't eat it, and you throw it away. It's a big part of the cost. And when you can make it inside your facility with one facility rather than distributing to lots of stores, and you take the orders in advance, you have an opportunity to completely eliminate a lot of that waste, which gives a fresher product, and it probably saves us about 5 points in margin compared to a retailer. And it's all about shaving off those points there. But when you started the company, we were talking about three years it took to kind of just set the factory up, get that software ready. Mm-hmm. How much capital are we talking had to go into this to begin with? More than I care to remember. No, I mean, give us some kind of idea. Obviously, it's grown a lot, but I mean, how much are we talking to actually set this kind of business up? These are for our viewers wanting to start their own company, this type of company. We spent well over $75 million just to sell a single customer. You guys turned your first profit in 2005, is what I read, and you founded the company, I believe in, what year, 1999, 1999, correct? Yeah. So since that point, have you seen profits grow every year, or has it been kind of up and down depending on the economy? No, it's actually been quite steady, and in this environment, we're doing quite well. There's a lot of people who are eating home now rather than eating out, mm-hmm. and our prices are very competitive, so we're actually seeing continued strength in this marketplace. What's the premium that we see on these prices? Because I've heard from some people it's a premium. On other things, you guys are really, really competitive. So how do you decide the price points for all these different items? Well, our shining spot is our fresh products, and we tend to be, compared to the local stores in Manhattan, probably anywhere from 15 to 20% less. Let's talk a little bit about investment, because one of the initial investors, obviously we talked about your Uncle Pete, one of the initial investors and now part of the fund that you guys do, Crown Capital Group. AIG was also a really big investor, $15 million, I believe. How has what has transpired in the past year, how has that impacted your company, your business, and your underlying funding? It's had almost no impact. At this point we're very well self-funded, so we're not out there trying to raise new money. And AIG has been a great partner with ours. In fact, all of our investors have been great partners. And they're still a partner with you guys? Yes, they are. So how many partners do you have right now? How many people own this company at this point or are invested in the company? Well, there's probably 5 or 6 investors which hold the vast majority of the shares. Now, your chairman is Richard Braddock. He was the president of Citibank. He was also chief exec at Priceline.com, has mm-hmm. a lot of experience, very well known, obviously, on Wall Street. In July, so just about a month ago, he talked about possibly having an IPO second half of this year. Is that something that you guys are still considering? Well, I think, at this point we've really earned the right to look at expanding beyond New York. And so there gives us a lot of different options. An IPO may be one of them, and there's lots of other things.
Haven't you tried to expand beyond New York already?
No, we've kept it in New York. We've been very focused on getting that customer experience right here at home.
So much of the reason that you guys are successful here is because of the population density, because of the location of your warehouse, and because of the ease of getting these trucks out, all this stuff. So how do you take that and apply it to an area that doesn't have the logistics, perhaps, the innate logistics that are in this area? And also, when you're competing against really big, safe ways that are doing the same kinds of services right now, I mean, how would you compete?
Well, first of all, there's a bit of a misnomer that New York is, because of its density, is so inexpensive to service. And the truth is, it's very expensive to service Manhattan. And you can do this business with a lot less density. But really, at the end of the day, we believe if we continue to offer a product that's both competitive and priced right, with using our information about our customers to give just a very superior service, we think that we can compete.
What cities are you targeting right now? Where are you looking, perhaps?
Well, the logical places are along the East Coast, the more urban centers like Washington, Boston, Chicago, Philadelphia.
So staying on the East Coast for this point. And so you're looking for different ways you can raise money to be able to do that.
We will in the future, yes.
Okay, we're going to talk a little more about that. We're here with the co-founder of FreshDirect, Jason Ackerman. You're watching Venture. Stay with us. We have a lot more ahead. Welcome back to Venture. I'm Chris Valerio. We are talking today with one of the co-founders of FreshDirect. We were just talking about revenues here and kind of where things are coming from and your ideas for expansion here. If we did see an IPO, are you looking that this will definitely happen this year, or do you think it will happen next year?
We have no set plans right now. I mean, we're looking to expand, and I think we're evaluating that in the back half of this year.
Okay, but you're definitely not looking at other sources of funding.
We're looking at all options right now.
Okay. One of the things that you said in 2003, your goal was $2 billion in sales within 5 years and 5% of market share. Are you there?
Not quite at $2 billion, but we're doing quite well.
You're getting close? $1.5 billion?
No, not quite there.
Not quite there yet? So I guess, and what are the revenues right now? What are we looking at? Ballpark figures.
Yeah, well, we're in around the $250 million range. And we've got great customer accounts and great growth.
Now, one of the things that your chairman, he wrote a Wall Street Journal op-ed in May. Among it, he was just talking about how important it was to have the loyalty of customers. He was saying that that's really the key when you look at commercial, online commerce, I guess, when you're talking about, and specifically within the grocery business. How did you grow that? How did you expand that? And how did you decide that was going to be a model that you followed?
Well, in this business, you really have to focus on your customers. And the more that we understood their needs, and putting them first, we really have developed a lot of plans to increase our wallet share, and that's by understanding better what they want to buy and by making sure that we're servicing them better, which we really have.
What do you think is the future of online commerce?
I think that people will continue to, other supermarkets will continue to do an online version through their stores, but I think as a standalone, we have many advantages than they do.
Are you concerned about any market saturation here? Is that why you're expanding, or do you think you still can grow here?
No, we think there's plenty of room to grow.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you guys have faced over the last few years, one of which is the idea of the greenness of your company, which brands itself as being very fresh, and yet at the same time, you said it yourself, 10 million boxes are expected for this year. That's a lot of boxes. It's been a concern from a lot of customers. Your chairman mentioned it as something that they're trying to cut down on. So what are you doing to that extent?
Yeah, in fact, we survey our customers every week, and it was one of the topics that our customers were saying. And it wasn't the environmental impact of the boxes. I really felt that we were being a bit less efficient in how we pack them. And so we spent the better part of the last year rejiggering the entire packing process with a much more intelligent way, in which we use our software, which we rewrote. And this year, we'll probably cut down to well over 1.5 million boxes to deliver the same amount of product. One
of the other issues that you guys have faced over the years, and we talked about this kind of in the package, but obviously attempts to unionize. You guys have, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you have about 2,000 employees right now that work in Long Island City. There have been several attempts to unionize. There was some controversy over the fact that you guys asked for eligibility of U.S. citizenship a few days or weeks before they were to go and vote on this unionization. So what have you learned from this?
We have many core values, and two of them are our customers and our employees. And, our employees are what makes the food every day, and so we cherish that relationship and work hard at it. New York is a union town. You can't kind of ignore it. But we have nothing against unions, but we really believe that if we take care of our employees will take care of our customers. And that's our philosophy.
Over all the years, your dad had a company, you have a company now. Expansion plans, what's the best thing about it?
You know, the greatest thing about this business is it touches so many people. And when you read an email about people saying that you've changed their lives, it's a wonderful thing.
Jason Ackerman, co-founder of FreshDirect, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.